right. Hey, holla, universe. Appreciate y'all tuning in. This is episode 80 of the Real Resilience Talk podcast. And I'm telling y'all, I got a phenomenal guest on here today. It's just so fitting that I got number 80. That's Jerry Rice's number. Speaks for itself right there, just saying. So today, y'all, as always, the First Amendment is in full effect. We defend it, we shall expend it. So you could just hear maybe a bad word, but I promise y'all will hear some good words, 2 or 3 on top of that. People say, oh, language offends me. You know what offends me? Dead bodies and people being hurt in ways that they can't repair. That's what offends me. So sometimes with these certain subjects, we got to get real about it. I'm not a doctor, nor is my guest today, or anybody else who don't try to sue us. We're not a reflection of the Dow, the NASDAQ, or anybody else. We're speaking for ourselves, car-carrying Americans using our First Amendment to hopefully have a good impact. So without further ado, I want to introduce to y'all Chris Hallberg, a veteran entrepreneur, a leadership coach who's made it a mission to help business run better, drawing from his time as a U.S. Army Staff Sergeant, the E6 Mafia. And then he now teaches leaders how to build stronger teams, create structure, and execute with purpose through his work as the business sergeant. He is the author of the Business Sergeant's Field Manual. Y'all give it up for my guest, Mr. Chris, y'all. Yeah. Welcome to the show, boss. How you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, Cam. Thanks for having me on your program, man. It's great to be here.
I appreciate you, boss. Well, I did a little intro for you, but I always like to ask every guest because resilience is one of those words. We can look it up in the dictionary and we can look it up in Merriam-Webster, but there's always our own context and use of it. So I'm going to ask you first, my friend, what is resilience to you? And then just tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Over to you.
Yeah, resilience. Getting up. You get knocked down 10 times, you got to get up at least 11. That's the ratio. You get knocked down 10 times, you stay down 9 times, like your short one. So like it doesn't matter like how it happens, just matter that it does happen.
Don't matter how, but that it happens. Y'all heard that? Get up and keep moving forward. I love that. Thank you for that, Chris. Thank you so much. And I did a little intro, but anything you want to tell us about yourself, man? Get the show rolling.
Well, let's see. First thing, I'm a husband. 28 years officially there.
Congrats.
3 decades with my bride. I have 2 wonderful sons, Hunter and Hayden, 21 and 18. They're both big-time guitar players, like super talented. My oldest son won the 2018 Young Guitarist of the Year for the world.
Go ahead.
Like legit, London, England on stage, beat all the other prodigies. He's published. His little brother is, playing bass, and they are jamming now. And we have a very musical household. So we like to rock. We like to tell the truth. Never baby talk those boys. They are sharp. And my greatest achievement, father, husband, all the business stuff, right? Former military. I also, I served part-time National Guard citizen soldier in the Army and Peace Corps National Guard, full-time Department of Corrections, started at a super maximum security prison, 5 stories underground. At 20, made sergeant in both organizations in my low 20s. That was a trip, being a sergeant in the Department of Corrections, having guys my age now in my 50s reporting to me, running the cell block with 100 inmates. That's crazy to think about that today when I think about, what 21 looks like when I see my sons in that position. Basically got out of all the different uniforms in 1999 after about a decade of service, and then got into sales management, became a sales executive, a business owner several times over, sold a few, crashed a few. Yeah, a little bit of everything. Made a bunch of money, lost a bunch of money, made a bunch of money, lost a bunch of money, and been through that entrepreneurial arc. I sold my last company in 2011, before my current companies, I should say, which are both the coaching business has been around for 13, 14 years, but I now have a software company to help support the coaching work I do as an EOS implementer. That's called Go Expand. That glues your EOS together nicely, keeps people connected and supported, giving good feedback. And then I have a veterans recruiting company, which is a free community. So any veterans out there, bizsgt.com, come to the community, join for free. We've got an online online academy that you're welcome to, and then a community where we have discussions. And then ultimately, some of those folks want to start their own business. We help them, guide them so they can do that successfully. Some folks just want to find their forever home after service, find a company that appreciates their unique skill set. So we place them into veteran-friendly companies. So generally, that's a bump in pay and working for folks that actually understand who you are, what you bring to the table, and they're in it. They want that. So those are the three things I do: coach EOS, do leadership team work, run the software business. I have a software company partnership that does all the work. I just take all the credit, give them ideas, and do the outreach, things like this. And then the community, I have a business partner, former Green Berets, been out about a year and a half, Michael Crisilla. He was a warrant officer, Silver Star, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, the real deal. He runs that whole company for me, so as a partner. So I'm living a blessed life, doing three things, surrounding myself with a beautiful team that can do the work while I just kind of steer the ship and chart a course and come up with crazy ideas that they say maybe next quarter, Chris. So that's kind of my role, and it's a pretty great part-time job doing those three things. And I joke that because I love what I do. It's not work. I don't believe in balance. Balance assumes one's better than the other. I'm into blend, where you just kind of blend what you do from the moment you wake your eyes up and to the time you close them at night. And that's kind of the way I view life.
Wow, that is a lot. That's a lot of different stuff. That's a lot of different. Congrats to the family, man. And congrats on, you said 28, 26 years.
28 years married, been with that together, coming up on 30 years this summer, all in. So like greatest accomplishment, right? The longevity and consistency and the support, as a visionary, ADD, high energy, always driving, always, like focus. I run three things right now. So you'd be like, don't you teach focus? Yeah, that's for other people. Like I don't do good with white space. You know what I mean? I got to fill my time. And the neat thing is all three of those companies help other people, and, good things happen to those that help other people. So like I just try to serve and be a value, and good things come back tenfold when I'm in the help first business and the earn second. The earning follows the helping in my world.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that's everybody out there listening to our veteran community, or anyone who may know a veteran. Look, Chris just told y'all about the bizsgt.com. Like go there and learn how you can learn what you don't know, and then see how you can get further inspired. But I love what you said, that it's about, the impact and the help that you provide first, and then the earnings, they just come as it just happens. It's like gravity, just because you're actually doing it with a meaningful heart of service. And also prove to you, from leaving a uniform a time or two, anyone out there listening, like, you don't need to wear an active duty or a reserve or a National Guard or some form of first responder uniform to be able to be serving. So just keep that in mind out there as y'all are listening. And you just heard what this man has tried, different things. You talk about fall down 10 times, get up 11. That was a lot of ebb and flow, and that was a lot of up and down in what you just described. So keep that in mind if you're in one of those darker times right now, that, hey, this is just building more for the next benefit of the next payoff. And sometimes we got to fall down to get back up. It makes us stronger. That's how we build resilience. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it, man.
Hey, Cam, the whole game is between your ears, right? Yes. Like outside stimulus, like life isn't really what happens, because everything's a test, whether you believe in like spiritual stuff, religious stuff, whatever you believe in gives you strength. That's your thing. And whatever that does for you, good. But 80% of the thoughts inside of a human's head, even what we view as the healthiest humans, right? Which is, again, a label, doesn't mean much, because your context of healthy and someone else's context of healthy can be completely different things. So I get back to the perspective here. If 80% of the thoughts in your head are unkind to yourself or to other people, or that's just how it is. Like, to have those thoughts is okay. To believe them, that shit's optional. So I just want to just say that, shout out to Chuck Norris, who just left the planet in the last month from this interview. I like to say before that, and I'll say that after that with a shout out to Chuck, you get those thoughts, you just got to stop them. Good. Chuck Norris, knife hand, karate chop to the throat, move on with that bad idea, replace it with a much positive one and say it out loud, because your brain hears you. Your thoughts are your thoughts, but when you say it, it's like writing it in bold. And I don't remember where I got that from, but that's been a powerful thing, because all you do is get it in the negative spiral, and it just gets more negative, and negative feeds negative. And that's why someone's up like, man, why you like this? You got all this, or talking about material things, right? I've had money and I've not had money. Believe me, having money's better. I don't think anyone can convince me otherwise or whatever. But, once you get enough money, you realize that doesn't bring you happiness. The quality of your relationships, working on yourself, trying to be a slightly, even if it's an ever so slightly better version of yourself, is superior to having all the gold in the land. Because in my work as a CEO coach, as a leadership team professional, I got a lot of clients that are, deca millionaires. I have a few billionaires that somehow listen to what I have to say from time to time. I don't know, man. And you know what I'm saying? It's some of them are just happy and blessed because they get it, and they're using their wealth to help others, and you would never know they're a billionaire by seeing them walk down the street. And then you see other folks who are kind of faking it till they make it, and they never make it because the whole thing is just fake. So there's a lot of rented Lamborghinis on social media, and there's a lot of purported experts. So wherever you're at in this thing, and I know you're being unkind to yourself, knock that shit off. Chuck Norris ain't gonna let that fly either. So let's karate chop those bad thoughts and put them on the ground and step over them and walk about your day. We're talking about the mental health. Depression is just too much focusing on the past, and anxiety is just focusing too much on the future. And unless you got a time machine, both of those activities are a low return on investment. So the best thing about the past is to learn from it and move forward. And there's an old saying, I think the Navy SEALs coined this one, and it's don't borrow pain from the future. You don't need to borrow any on credit. There's plenty right here for us all to experience. And my central message is, again, having the negative thoughts, that's normal. Believe in them, that shit's optional. So think about what you're opting into and own that. And if it ain't going well, you need to make a decision to think otherwise. Now, there's environmental issues, right? There are geopolitical issues. There are Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Someone's got a gun and you don't, we're going to do what you're going to do. We're going to follow your plans, right? We both got a gun, look that way for a minute, goodbye, right? You know what I'm saying? Just talking about military forces, look at society. We've got political correctness, all this stuff that doesn't make sense. You can decide to participate in that line of thinking, or you could just decide to opt out. And my biggest piece of advice is spend less time on social media. Do not watch the network news. You're being programmed. That's right. What to think. So be a free thinker. There's a name for it. It's conspiracy theorists. There's a new term called critical thinker, because conspiracy theorists are batting about 850 right now, and all these crazy ideas, all the facts, all the receipts are coming in. So my point is, you get to choose your own experience. If the experience you have isn't working, just have a little quick meeting with yourself saying, this is what I want. And then we just move towards that. And you do that enough and you stop the negative behaviors, eventually, you can cross over. And it's a decision to what you focus on. So just pay attention, where you're spending your time, what you're doing. Take care of yourself. I hate working out, cardio, like I hate it. But, get on that rower 4 times a week, like on the right days. If I got work or I got other things, you just get that alarm clock a little earlier and you don't make mistakes. I don't negotiate with myself. I make decisions and then I step up. And I'm not perfect, but if I missed one, I'll put an extra one in at the end of the week to make up for it. And it's just a little scorecard we keep within ourselves. And again, it's a decision if you want to be a positive net player, a +1, or you're going to be a negative player or a minus. And it's just that simple.
It really is. And it's what it reminded me of what you were saying was Zig Ziglar used to say, he used to say stinking thinking. You know what I mean? And stinking thinking has led to so much just destruction, degradation, and just people not reaching their full potential. And to anyone out there listening, you're like, yeah, well, I have this. Me too. I do too. I got a lot of D's, not degrees, but disorders and disability. I got them, right? But let's not play the comparison game. Part of what you had said, the gun analogy, well, part of a weapon that you can use is maybe medicine, is maybe seeking help. But you still have to own your battle space, and you still need to dictate, because can't nobody else work out for you? Can't nobody else read for you? Can't nobody else think for you? And can't nobody else sleep for you? So you got to be able to, like what Chris is saying, is be able to take care of yourself, so that way when you are hit with the real hard times, not just like I'm just down sappy times, you are prepared and you have the resilience and you have the calluses on your mind, your body, your soul to be able to endure that next hardship that's coming your way. And from what you explained with your background, whether it's being a corrections officer, being part of the E6 Mafia, yeah, I'm trying to coin that for our E6s out there, right? But all of that, and being married as long as you have been and raising children in this world, what I love what you said up front is you said, I don't baby talk them. That is so freaking important for our kids today. I see so often, people, there's a helicopter parenting too, but there's also like the sheltered and nerf style life. And then people get out in the real world and people go, hey man, you suck. And then now people fall apart because they've never been told maybe they suck at something, or maybe something said with some colorful words. And that doesn't mean be verbally abusive, but to talk to you straight, at man to man, woman to woman, and give you the real talk that you need. I think when you talk to them with a baby voice, they act in a baby voice. That's just my experience. So I appreciate you pointing that out and raising your sons to be warriors.
Yeah, absolutely. Citing Zig Ziglar, another good one we lost years ago. In fact, Gino Wickman, the founder of EOS, the coaching program, the methodology that I teach, it's like a plasma torch in my business toolbox. It is amazing. His father, Floyd Wickman, and Zig Ziglar were like besties for a number of years. So I've got to meet Floyd, and he talked about stories about Zig and
City, Mississippi.
And that's pretty wild, to have like an Uncle Zig Ziglar in your life. So back to like who you surround yourself with. I think a Zig quote's kind of bubbling up on me right now, and it's, you can't fly with the eagles if you hang out with turkeys. So that goes back to like the environment, finding if you're in a really overly negative environment, man, just switch the scenery is probably 70% of it, right? Like you can move to the Philippines and live for $800 to $1,000 a month. They speak English. Like I know vets that are having a hard time on a disability pension, or just life is hard. Man, you can just go live on the beach for you can live like a king on a Social Security or a veteran's disability. And just kind of check out for a few years, learn how to surf, or carve coconuts or whatever. So I back to the 22 a day and veteran suicide, or just suicide in general. Man, that is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So like, find a different environment. And it's going to be hard to pick up stakes. No, not really. And if you're considering making a permanent exit, I would say, hey, there's a bunch of other ideas. And it's just find a new friend group, disassociate with toxic people that are dragging you down or putting you in a bad headspace. So like, I love my life, but I've already said, man, this ever gets to be too much, I'm going to take a hiatus. A sabbatical is the nice word for it. But yeah, it just might be like, hey, out of office for the next 2 years. Love you, but I'm gonna go do something else. So like that's always been there for me. Someone told me that years ago. Like, no matter how bad it gets, you can always change your place. And if you're in a place that just doesn't work, as an American, it's a free country. You can just move, you can go. And I know it's hard, it's not easy, but if you're in a place where you're seriously considering, again, the permanent solution for a temporary problem, like, that ain't gonna buff. That's not a good decision. There are other things you can do.
I couldn't agree more, and I appreciate you hitting that beat. And another thing I've realized, because I've had, attempt, and I've had some strong ideations in my lifetime, what I've learned on the other side, which obviously I survived, I'm here, is you have no idea who or what is coming down the road of life. Like, and they may need you, and you may need them, and you don't even know it yet because you're just looking at and fixated on either, like you said, looking in the past, or looking for pain that ain't happened yet. What Seneca say, we suffer more often in imagination than reality. Like, that's facts. Like, we really do, and it can get the best of us, and we can have that downward spiral. So there's time to reflect, ladies and gentlemen, of course, always, but there's a difference between that and ruminating, and then now going to the place where it's like, oh, all is woe, and I need my pain to end. You have no idea, my friends, who's coming down the road of life. You just don't. I wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. You know what I'm saying?
A great point. It's just mindset, right? Your attitude determines your altitude. There's a third. There's a third Ziglar one right there. Like this, I'll just have to keep thinking about my Zigisms. I quote him all the time. Just an amazing human.
Amazing human. I'm like that too, because I got a unique first name. His first name was Hillary, so he was in the Navy in World War II. So he went by, I go by Cam Campbell. He was Zig Ziglar, right, for his last name. But one of the other things he said, and I think you were hinting on this the whole time, is what Zig had talked about was how you day to day move through life, and what are you feeding your brain, your insides. And he talked about, like, motivation is like a cup of coffee, it wears off, but you got to stay motivated, right? But he said, you know what else wears off every day? And people be like, what? And he'd be like, a shower. That's why we say do it daily. You know what I mean? A bath. You know what I mean? So there is something. I have a mentor of mine, retired Sergeant Major in the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major Twig, amazing guy. But one of the things he said, I never thought about it, he flipped it on the word brainwashing. He was like, actually, I do want to wash my brain and clean it out, because, as you said, the white space, the idle hands, the downward decay of our thoughts sometimes, that's brain dirtying. You know what I mean? That's not cleansing your brain. So he was like, not in the sense of being culty or anything like that, but you do have to brainwash and cleanse your mind sometimes, and cleanse your spirit and your soul of the shittiness that we come to thinking about sometimes, if that's in your nature, because I know that's mine.
Your perception's your reality, and if you perceive things to be dark and dreary, you manifest that, like the power of manifestation. So, like, if you really want to get in, my wife is a Reiki master. She's a soul practitioner, and like numerology, like some interesting things. And a lot of people be like, oh, that's bullshit. Well, I've seen my report, and it's like, okay, this is how you are wired. Just like personality assessments or scientific tools. Just look at horoscopes, astrology. I never used to believe in that, but I'm a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius are fiery, and she's a Virgo, and she's soft, and she thinks about every little detail, and I just let things go, and or send them, right? She's a little bit more measured. So if you look at like a Sagittarius Virgo pairing, it's like, ugh. Like, this is either going to be the best marriage ever, but it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be special. Or this, like, find a better pairing. This is not a great pairing, but for the few that can withstand it, it is an amazing pairing. And I look at that and I'm like, man, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed any of that stuff. But the more I look at like how the universe works, like, you can believe this is a simulation. You can believe this is not a simulation. You can believe you're here for one lifetime and then it's heaven or hell. Or you can believe you're on lifetime 17 and you're never going to die. It's just You get a new meat suit, new identity, and another 80 years to learn lessons. Like, I know that's a little out there, but these are things I think about because other people have been thinking about these for thousands of years. You know, Sanskrit on the inside of the pyramid. You will get many lives. You will learn lessons. You will return to learn the lessons that you didn't get this time. So, like, I am closer to that belief now than I ever have been. And doesn't matter what your religion is, because they're all basically the same, right? They just have a different hero, a different storyline. And even if you agree with the Joe Rogan podcast, he had that Bob Lazar on, and he said, oh yeah, the aliens, religion, that's just rules to keep the vessels, to keep the soul keepers healthy and happy, and like, okay, great. Like, whatever you believe, go with that. The point is, your perception is your reality. So what you put in here and what you allow other people to put in here is essentially the experience that you're going to experience. If you don't like that and you get that Chuck Norris knife hand out and pow, throat punch that bad thought and replace it with a good one, you do that enough, then the good stuff starts to happen. And I know this because when you manifest things, I need this, I want this, like, what are you going to do with that? What is the universe going to give that to you? So when you think about positive thoughts, this is going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it becomes a matter of when. And if you keep down that road, the when shows up a little earlier than you would expect if you keep your mind clean and you keep it positive and you keep focused on that. But you can't sweat it. Once you saw, I got to have this by tomorrow, like that desperation, that forcing it actually drives it away. So you have to be very clear with what you want. But ain't no big deal. I'm going to get there eventually. You got to have the no big deal part, because as soon as you kind of disassociate with the big deal part, that's when the good stuff shows up. And I look back at my life, and that's exactly how it works. So if you're in a dark place, you got to switch that frequency around. You got to have a higher, more positive frequency. And when you have that and you stay positive, but you don't put a timeline on it, you don't put a condition on it, you don't make whatever's happening a condition of your own worth. You just do you, keep it positive. It's happening. And when I talk about stuff like, yeah, that's happening. Like, well, when is that going to happen? Like, I don't know. Don't even care. I just know it's going to. And the less I give a shit about it, the usually the quicker it shows up. The more oh man, this needs to happen tomorrow, or bad things are going to happen. You just invited bad things in by making it conditional. That's not how the universe works in my experience. So
that's so well said. And to anyone listening, it's definitely in the West, and I know with Americans and definitely with veterans, we are so fixated on, like, I need to have fixed now, and we need a linear, we need an A, then B, then C, but really it's like the alphabet of the universe is all over the place, and it's almost like it humbles you, because the more you try to have control, the more it lets you know you ain't in control, sucker. But with all of these things being said, whether you agree with it, you believe in it, whatever the case may be, have an open mind and an open heart to new ideas and things of that nature, because you never know. And I'm saying this to anyone listening, I'm trying to remind myself too, we have this fixation on, is this going to make everything perfect? No. Is it going to make anything worse? No? Okay, then try it. And you just don't know. And to be honest with everyone out there, I'm still trying to figure the foxtrot out every single day. And the more I know I don't know. So it's like that humbling over and over again. And once you start trying to play full control, you got free will, but slow down, killer. You going to get humbled real quick by life, because that's how life works.
Yeah, the more you want it, the less you can have it. And the more you make conditions, you know, the big common thing that I've learned in my own life, right, my mental health journey, and to be clear, I was in a pretty dark place 3 years ago this summer. I took a trip down to Costa Rica, 6 days after my father passed, and I was scheduled to go, and we had the whole weekend of hospice, and we were all with him when he passed on a Monday, and this next Saturday I was scheduled to go to an ayahuasca retreat at a place called Rhythmia, a top place for ayahuasca. I also heard that on a podcast, and I thought, well, yeah, this wasn't in the timing. Maybe I should reschedule this. Then I thought again, like, whoa, I got all this other pain. I got this recent pain. fuck it, I'm just going to go and just do the thing. This wasn't something you don't plan for any of that kind of stuff. And, that alone saved my life. So talk therapy, in my opinion, like it's got its benefits for certain people, but for me, it didn't. All it did for me was to drag the stuff up top, just bring it up. And then about ready when you're getting good, oh, there's time. So I don't know why they don't schedule these sessions for 2 hours, because, you don't get into the good part for 40 minutes and then it's a couple minutes and then it just drags it up. So what I heard Ron White, the comedian who was on Rogan's podcast, talking about how he finally quit drinking after, abusing alcohol for many years, as I did. Yeah, I was like an alternate on the U.S. drinking team. It was up until a few years ago. I thought I was 20 when I was 50. But anyways, what he got from that is like, it's 10 years of therapy in 1 week. And I'm like, that sounds like a good return on time. And now, first thing I'm going to say, it's not a recreational thing. It wasn't fun. There might have been a few interesting moments, we'll say, but most of it was projectile vomiting and projectile diarrhea. And it was 4 nights of some very, confronting some uncomfortable truths or some realities. So, when you see the moon or clouds, start to Pac-Man the moon, you're in another place. But what I learned from that is none of the shit matters. You have no control. And, back to like, none of this matters. You're going to live forever. And it's about 80 to 100 years on this planet as a human. Like I said, whether you believe in the multiple lifetimes or one and done, that's on you. 80 years sounds like a long time. It's pretty short. I just lost my dog. And that's the cruelest thing in the world, right? That we last 80, 90 years and they last 10 or 15 years.
Yes.
So you got to enjoy every day.
Yes.
Not to mention, I just lost an uncle like last week. And I'm still just kind of in shock of this whole thing. This man was like larger than life to me. And we were texting back and forth about a trip to come out to Colorado. And he just passed, 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks ago. And the first thing I thought is like, why was I texting with that man? Why didn't I pick up the phone and have a phone call with him? So I'm in that replay, the regret thing, all the stuff. I'm saying, hey, everybody, don't do that. What I'm saying is it's perfectly normal. So then I asked myself the healthy version of that. It's who else have I been texting with or not conversing with at all? For whatever reason, they're busy, I'm busy. Insert bullshit excuse right here. So I made a list and I've been reaching out to these people because my uncle's passing taught me a lesson. So I could just take that lesson for 5 minutes and say, oh, I should do this, and let it escape into the ether, and then learn it again when somebody else passes, right? And the older you get, the more it happens. Like, it's just part of life. This very short time we're here, not here for a long time, here for a good time. Don't know whose quote that is, but I like that one too. Yeah, so I think it's actually, I think it's Bob Parsons, the founder of GoDaddy, the PXG Golf Club guy. That's who said that. I don't know who he stole it from. Maybe it's unique to Bob. You should have Bob Parsons on your podcast. He's a former Marine, great guy. Yeah, he does a lot for charity. PXG Golf. Yeah,
I definitely know that name. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I think I have a friend of mine recently. She said, shout out Buffy, I love you. But she speaks about when somebody comes across her mind, she calls them or she texts them or she reaches out to them in some capacity to let them know you're on my mind and I just want to see how you was doing. And I have another friend and mentor of mine. He's a TEDx speaker. He's a filmmaker, but he says that, he doesn't believe in coincidences. Coincidences are God's way of remaining anonymous. So the fact that the thought crossed your mind or the person came to your thought, and like you, oh my God, you talked about drinking. Like they said, I had a drinking problem. I didn't have any problem with drinking. The police did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sober now for close to 7 years. But so much of what you just said, and you said you lost your uncle. I lost my mother 2 weeks ago, and the same thoughts, the same replaying, and there's a time for reflection, but not rumination. I'm actually reading. This is funny. We're talking about the subject. My baby sister, my sister-in-law made these bracelets as as merch for the service, and it says "Talk to you later." You know what I mean? And it's gratitude is one hell of a drug, is what I'm saying to everyone out there. And I think it's the through line of what you just expressed. And the older we get, the more people we lose by conditions that we can't control, nor could they control. And life's and death happens, and it's like that, the famous, the Stoic expression of memento mori, you will die. And it's something to keep in mind as we're going through here. And we don't choose to be miserable, but I definitely think that we have a big contributing factors of the way we think, the way we live, and the environments we set ourselves in. And if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, shut the fuck no. Change your attitude is what Maya Angelou said. And it just goes into so much. And I just had to share that, not to make it like I usually try to yield to the guests, but you hit like 3 things that I'm like, man, get out my head, Chris. You in my soul right now. But when you talked about the ayahuasca, I swear, we know that the mind, body, spirit is all connected. It's all one. Whatever we want to say, mind, body, social, spiritual, however you want to phrase it. Some people it's just 7 prongs. I don't fucking know. It's all connected, and it's so revealing to me that when people do ayahuasca and you have this mental cleanse and this soul cleanse and this experience, your body does the same exact thing. Is that not just? I don't believe in that being a coincidence. That is the interconnectedness of everything that's woven into us as just one being, not to mention all of us as humans on here. And to religion and faith, it's all just talking about being a decent human and love. So like Ziggy said, like, love is my religion. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I know I just said a lot. Sorry for the rant. But
yeah, no, I mean, you're right on it. Like, there's an old saying, right? Hurt people. So like, I didn't know how to heal myself, but a bottle, $750 of bourbon, would get you to a mind state where you're just covering it up. You're just numbing the pain. You're not like taking it out. So when I heard Ron White and Joe Rogan talking, this is a several hour thing where he talked about it. I'm just like, yeah, I need to do something, because the alternative, having those not so great thoughts, you know what I mean? That those just build, and then you drink, you wake up and you feel like death. So you're like, okay, let's not do that. 6 o'clock, let's do that again. And then 6 a.m., like, why did I do that? Like, it's like being overweight, like looking in the mirror, like, dang, like that doesn't look like I wanted to. Like, I feel bad, so I'm going to get some chocolate cake. Well, all right. Well, chocolate cake just makes you, less healthy. And then you feel bad. And then it's that loop. And so breaking the loop was something I couldn't do myself. So even when you're taking this ayahuasca and it doesn't taste great, it doesn't taste that bad, but it's an acquired taste. Like, even if I'm not having visions or what's going on, you're just purging. And this isn't like a light purge. This is like noises you've never heard from 30 to 50 friends that you just met. So it's traumatic in its own right, but I can share with you like a moment where I had to go outside because what was going on inside was like freaking me out. And then a lot of it moved outside, and a quiet space became a loud space. And I went from like angry, like, get away from me. Like just completely just negative about everything of what's happening to me. This whole scenario, all these people, super hear every drop of this, everyone's pain. It was just overwhelming. And you're under this DMT, right? From a natural plant, a root and a plant joined together, like natural, from somebody who knows, thousands of years of ancestors passed down. And I just went from feeling just all this to a moment, a big purge, and just complete stillness. Like, and now hearing the same sounds and being like, oh, heal brother, heal sister, get that out. Like, from get away from me to like, good for you. And it was just a moment in time. And from that moment on, I've never been the same. And that is like deep stuff. And again, not fun, but so worth it. So I'm a huge proponent of alternative plant medicine, ibogaine, ayahuasca, psilocybin. Like, there's so many different things out there to help with PTSD and childhood trauma. Like everyone down there, it's just, we're all just hurt children. Some people got, some people, show me what I've become. Merge me back with my soul at all costs and heal my heart. Those are the three intentions one would do at Rhythmia. And as a process, and show me what I've become, a narcissistic douchebag asshole, right? Just that's first one. That was that moment when it was like, oof. And then you replay stories and you see these scenes of bad things that you did. And it's not you doing the bad things, it's the reaction of the people you said harsh words to or didn't do the right thing. And then when you internalize that, you're just like, oh, I don't want to do that. And then you're like aware. And once you're aware, you can start working on stuff. So like the big thing for me is like talk therapy. If that's not working for you, then I think it's time to step it up to some of these alternative things that have been proven highly successful thousands of times. So, being down there in the jungle, and I still keep in contact with some folks that were with me, and you get this medicine fam thing, and it's real. And pretty much without fail, the thesis is you get separated from your soul, you lose your innocence. And it's usually between ages 3 and 7. And it could be abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, bullying, like a divorce, you name the trauma. There's not like a scale 1 to 10. Like your trauma could be a 10 for you, it'd be a 2 for me, vice versa. It's not a contest to see who's the most fucked up or has the most pain. It's your perception is your reality. So like basically when you hear everyone's trauma and you're in class and like this and like just to get that out and just not feel that burden. So they have you take a picture at the beginning of the week of put the biggest smile on your face. It's like you're just painting this smile, and they're like, take a selfie, smile, like get a good shot, and then take another one on the last day. So like, 8 days later, man, you could just see like a sparkle in your eye. It's like a real smile. Like it actually like physically curves up. Like it's amazing. So like, I just wanted to mention that if anyone's like, I've tried this, this isn't working, that isn't working. Now there's a protocol. You got to get off some SSRIs, and that's not super fun, but the alternative is way more fun, is to leave that shit down in the jungle and come back open and free. And then you got to integrate and learn kind of the new raw open you, but it was life-changing for me. So I'm just basically a walking commercial for those guys because, it saved my life.
I appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable, but having the courage to share it, because somebody right now listening needs to hear that, and they may be at their wits' end and they're like, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Well, we attack in a different direction. Maneuver Warfare 101. We try a different way. We be water, my friend, Bruce Lee. However you want to say it is exactly to the point that we first started with. You fell down 10 times, you got up that 11th time, and you keep moving forward. So all I'm saying to anyone out there listening is be open-minded, right? Be open-minded, because no, it may not solve or fix every damn thing, but is it going to make it anything worse? And then maybe implore that and try that out. And it may be in concert with other things. And it's also cleaning up your environment. It's also eating right. And it's also, prayer. And it's also journaling. It's not just one thing. Oh, I took this medicine and now everything's perfect. That's unreasonable, and that's not the world we live in. That's not reasonable, and it takes work, just like everything else. Your marriage and the success you've had, the success or the failures you had in business, raising your children, all of it takes work and it takes effort. And I get it, my friend, if you're listening and you are at your wits' end and you're exhausted, but I'm just saying, try another thing and see what it can add to. And then you can do what Chris is doing, and you can be a light and share what you've learned with someone else, and you have no idea how fulfilling that is. I'm just gonna tell you, it's a drug you can't buy, you can't inject, you can't smoke, but when you know that you help someone else, as you just did right now, I'm paying it forward, I'm speaking it into fruition, manifesting. That is the currency that matters, is the effect you have on others, to quote Jim Carrey. He said it, not me, but he said that's the most valuable currency there is, the effect. So what's the effect we're having out there? And if you don't like what's going on, change it up, switch your style up. keep moving forward. And that's what resilience is all about. And I know that you've had to apply a lot of resilience in all of these things. And then, like you said, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, like, hell no, I ain't doing that hippie shit. I felt the same way, brother. I was like, yoga, hell no. Now I'm up on Yoga with Adrian on YouTube all the time because musculoskeletal issues are real. And I'm not 20 no more. You know what I mean? So I just tell you thank you, man. And just the success. And you even wrote a book. You wrote the Business Sergeant's Field Manual too, man, and all of this journey of yours.
Yeah, I talk a lot about like stories from the military, from civilian law enforcement. You know, being a business sergeant is a mindset, right? It's no one told me I couldn't take the same leadership that you learn. And quite frankly, in the military, there are probably more bad examples of leadership than there are good leadership, right? Like that is a true statement. But the neat thing is the bad ones are like, all right, let me lock that one down. I ain't never going to do that. That is the way that felt. No thanks. And then you get the really good ones and you're like, I'm going to steal all that person's stuff. So, you know, we've quoted some pretty amazing humans today. You know, we're talking about maybe some original quotes between the two of us. You know, you could steal all this stuff. Like I get there's copyrights and intellectual property. And like, I understand that's how business works, but I think when you don't hold authorship, you understand this whole thing is open source, this life, and we're all just picking up different things at different times. So, you know, you want to get good at a topic, start teaching it. You know what I mean? You get better yourself when you become a teacher. You want to get in good shape, you know, all right, like you got to start somewhere. Fitness is an activity that stacks on top of each other. Same thing with positive thoughts, same things like you're going to go to the mental gym. Are you drinking whiskey or are you doing push-ups? You know what I mean? Because one just hides it and then the other activity has physical benefits. And back to what you said, Cam, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, the physical, it's all your reality. And whether you choose to believe it or not, we're all one thing. And like you got to put good vibes out there. You put out negative vibes, you attract negative vibes back. You got a bunch of negative vibes, and you do that Chuck Norris move where you throat chop, no replaced with positive thing. It's just a technique. But there's an old, you know, fake it till you make it kind of a thing, and that's the same thing in success. Where now, don't rent Lamborghinis and say they're yours. That's the wrong kind of fake it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, here's my whatever car you have, and it's washed, it's waxed, it's mine. You know, this is how I've customized it. Like I always get a kick out of the young kids with the big old exhaust in the little car, and you know, you can hear that. Yeah. Like I think it's ridiculous, but you just, they're in love with that whole thing. So I'm just like, awesome. You know what I mean? I'm just like, that's not for me, but you do you. And you know what I mean? You sound like you're going 80, you're going 35, which is much safer for everyone around you to have that experience of high RPMs and no speed. But like I said, back in the day, I might have been like, man, you know, now I just kind of laugh and I'm just like, somebody's having fun. Am I having fun? You know, and I am having fun, you know, and you don't have to yuck somebody else's yum to feel good about things. So like, just yum it up, man. There's plenty of the yucks that are going to find you. You decide, you know, you can distance yourself from bad flavors or bad people or bad smells or bad vibes. And it is absolutely a choice where you're vibrating at. So like, just do a vibe check. And that's what a vibe check is, you know, fear, alcohol, like, you know, anxiety, those are low frequency things. Like abundance, love, like helping other people, reflecting, meditating, gratitude. Like gratitude for me, when I start to get negative, I'm like, hang on, wait a minute here. I'm pretty sure like 95% of the world would be happy to be in any, you know, American's space, like to be a male, adult American with some success. Like if you think about the world, like that puts you in like the top fraction of 1%. There are folks out there in different parts of the world that don't have shit. Like they're also the happiest people you ever meet. So like don't get caught up in the game. And I did get caught up in the cars and the houses, and it's okay to have nice things, but like when I acquired them, they weren't for the healthiest reasons. It's because I thought we're checking boxes, we're getting this, we're doing that, we're building, look at me. And then I realized, after having to maintain a bunch of stuff, that I don't even use this shit. I don't really even like it anymore. So I think everyone kind of goes through an acquisition phase, especially if you grow up poor like I did. I didn't grow up with a lot of resources. Had to figure it out. Learning disabilities, ADD, neurodivergence, a little on the bipolar spectrum. What's wrong with you? Why are you like this? And you get enough of that negative, don't conform to society business, and you start to believe that. My point is, there's only one of you. You are here to learn lessons, and I don't think the lesson is to just suddenly give up. I think that's the easy way out, but it's not easy, because it's not easy on all the people around you. It's actually the hardest way to go about it. So my advice is to, again, be mindful, be strong. I know it's hard, but if you've got skills, you live in America, you know what I mean? You have free speech that we're exercising. You have the right to outwork everyone else if you decide to do so. And if you stay positive and work hard, now I sound like every Hallmark card or motivational speaker who lives in a van down by the river, but that's okay, because it's still a good message. If you work hard and stay positive, it's just a matter of time. And I know it's cliche to say most people give up right before the good stuff comes your way, but that's exactly what happens. So you get into this mindset where I'm just going to stay positive. I'm going to do me. And you do that for a year or two, I guarantee you do that for a month, you're going to be way better off. You do that for 5 years, you are already there. And once you get there, that's not the destination. It's just, what's the next goal? And the goal isn't another Lamborghini like it could be. It could be okay, now I have a Lamborghini, so who do I know that would love to drive in my Lamborghini, right? Who having cool sports cars and saying, you want to drive? And people going are you crazy? Bro, this is insured. Get in, let's go. I'll tell you when you're doing wrong things with my car. But you know what I mean? That's the person. So think about who you're going to be when you get to insert your dream car. Not you can't look at it, or I'm going to park it in the middle of nowhere. And that's all scarcity stuff. Abundance got you that thing. It's just a thing. It doesn't mean nothing. Look at the headstone after a long, well-lived life. Not too many people I wish I would have worked some more weekends. I wish I would have had another fix your car, your house, or insert whatever your thing you're grinding for. And I'm not saying those things aren't good to have, because they're tangible. It's hard to be sad in a Lamborghini. I'm just saying, I get that, but that's it's the journey of the acquisition that's actually what makes you smile. It's not actually the thing, because back to my billionaire friends that are miserable and my billionaire and decamillionaire friends that are happy, they've all had the roller coaster of life. It's where you're at right now is the vibration you put off. And the stuff I'm sharing are all learnings. And I would say, for a 53-year-old man, these are all in the last 5 or 6 years, the really good lessons. Yeah. So if you're in your 30s and you're I can't figure this out, and why is this, back to comparison, you said it before, comparison is the enemy of happiness, because for whatever reason, I'd also mention that society doesn't necessarily reward the best version of yourself.
That's true.
Thinking about like you're in pure acquisition mode, like some of the relationships that I, didn't fully invest in, some of the decisions I made, just the sheer, zero-sum game thinking, for me to win, you're going to be losing today versus like we can all win together in the things that you figure out later. So like the message is like, that stinking thinking at scale, it doesn't scale. And then the things, and everyone says this, oh yeah, I thought I'd be happy when I got this or when I achieved this. And it's really kind of an empty feeling. Well, that's just kind of like a waypoint. It is a tangible goal one can check off, but I'd rather be like back to the rest of the world. There are people that have a fraction of what you think you need. They don't have anything that you have, and they might not even view what you have as a good thing, because what they have is love and happiness and good relationships and kindness and caring. And that's really who the rich people are the people that aren't in acquisition mode. They're in like gratitude mode or give back mode. And I feel like that's the mode that I've just recently got in. That's the mode you are in with this podcast, brother. So keep that up.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. And you know what it reminds me of? Two things. I've heard these expressions. It's nice to have things, but don't let things have you, right? There's a difference there. And then also what you said, I keep this in my purview, but from Epicurus, he said, do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember, what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for. We got to sometimes do that check-in gratitude. That doesn't mean be less ambitious or to rest on your laurels or to be Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, ladies and gentlemen. But what I am saying is gratitude is one hell of a drug. And if we F around too much, we might end up like that puppy dog on the floor chasing their tail. And we're just going around in circles, being a hamster on a wheel. And that's not really living. And remember, like Denzel said, you can't take none of this shit with you. The Egyptians tried that and they got robbed, right? You know what I mean? So keep that in mind as we're going forward on this. And I just appreciate you. What really jumped out at me too, you said 53 years young. 53 years young. Think of all the people that we lose years prior to ever hitting 53, and they never get to have this reflection or this clarity, it sounds like you have now in your thought and in your thing. So again, not only do you not know what's coming down the road, you don't even know the version of you that's coming down the road, my friend. So for all of us out there that get to them dark places, we have to do our best to stay left of bang, because once we're in that dark space, we're not in our best cognitive ability of functioning. We're almost intoxicated with depression and bad things. So we have to keep cleansing day by day, brick by brick, play by play, so that way we don't get tempted to make a permanent decision over a temporary problem. Because I don't give a fuck who you are. All of this shit, you believe in theology, geology, don't matter. You worship algebra, I don't care. Guess what? All of this is temporary, to include the ground we're standing on. So this too shall pass. So keep that in mind, my friends. Don't let yourself get to that point where making that permanent decision sounds like a good decision or sounds like a good option, because it's crazy, the depths. And then on top of that, let's add substances on it. Oh my God, that's a bad fucking math expression for what leads to losing a lot of our brothers and sisters before their actual time. And the universe will make sure you're not here if it's not meant for you to be here. Crazy shit happens, life be life. We just expressed our recent losses. If you're not meant to be here no more, powers that be will make sure of that. We don't have to try to play control in that. So on that note, my friend, we have lost too many people to the subject of death by suicide. And I think it's the only, besides homicide, I think it's the only preventable way of death is death by suicide 100%. If someone was out there right now, Chris, thinking about making that permanent decision, and you could say something to them prior to it, what would you say?
Well, let me just add a little factoid in front of that heavy statement, if I may. It's over 50% of homicides are fueled by alcohol. And I'm going to say the number of suicides is probably a bit higher. So like, there's a reason why we shoot guns and then have a beer, not have beers and shoot guns, because like any range or any safety, like you're not making good decisions. So like that's pretty logical. It's kind of hard to argue against that. So like first off, like if you're in that headspace, you got to clear your mind. If your mind was clear, you wouldn't even be considering that. The simple fact you're considering it just says you're not in a good space. So work on the space and then make the decision. So I would say that's my whole point. Is if you're really considering that, you need to reach out to people that love you. And if you don't have a lot of that in your life, call a hotline, find a network, find a group with other folks that are there, because maybe you can get some different treatment that like I did, like in the jungle. Maybe you can find another healthy outlet. And again, if you're in an environment and your stress is environmental, change your environment. That's the big thing. Like all your friends are alcoholics. Like whoever said you're basically the average or the composite of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That might even be a Zigism. Maybe Brian Tracy. Jim Rohn. Okay, all right. So Jim Rohn, also dear friends with Zig Ziglar, and so yeah, Jim Rohn said that, and one of my early mentors took me to a Jim Rohn talk, and that was like one of the first things in business coming out of uniform. Like, ooh, never heard anyone think like that. So like. Yeah, so like that's where Zig's kind of like, hey, you can't fly with eagles if you hang out with turkeys. So like, if you got some turkeys in your life who are participating in these reindeer games that are causing you, like, hey, you got to protect yourself. You gotta create an environment where the healing can begin. So like, look around. That's my advice. It's probably just an environmental change and an attitude change. Putting down the booze and picking up some weights, and I think that's the advice I give someone. This is a temporary thing. Don't fucking fall for that permanent shit, because you might as well just go surfing in Thailand or Panama or someplace that is completely different, and get yourself a passport, get on an airplane, and just go do something for a month or two. I guarantee you're going to come back a different thing. So take a hiatus, step away. I know you asked for one thing, that's like 3. That's what I would tell somebody. I guess maybe let me change my answer. A holistic approach. Don't do one thing. Stack that shit. Get 3 or 4 things that resonated on this podcast or any of other Cam Campbell's podcasts, and curate a list of things. Like I want one of these. Like you go to McDonald's, I want a number 1 with this, a side of that, or whatever. You can just put a value meal of these things, and you can mix and match. There's no right or wrong. Custom curate these suggestions that resonate with you, and the ones that aren't you, don't do them. You know what I mean? Don't like, you're not ready for it. I'm not saying you won't be later, and that's your point. Like, I wish I would have had that trip to the jungle when I was 18. I could have unpacked half the bullshit. Just got worse by ruminating about the things that happened from 3 to 7 to 18. Most people are just unhealed, wounded children. I was meeting, 35, 40 other people down there. That was like the big aha. It's like, I've been carrying around this shit for decades. And once you let it go, like, you don't need to get it back. Wherever you are out in the arc of this, like, don't give up, keep standing up. And what you're doing right now is not working. Shift it up. Switch that combo around until it tastes right, till it starts working for you.
I love that. That's so well said. And to anyone out there who want to play comparison games, comparison is the thief of joy, but guess what? It's also the thief of healing. So if it's messing you up, if it's effing you up, if it's a big deal to you, it's a big deal, and that's all that matters. That's in the words of Corporal Andrew Koval. Marine veteran who wrote a book called Summer 2009. He closed it with that. He said, if it's a big deal to you, it's a big deal. That's all that matters. Trauma is trauma. So let's not get into comparison games. That shit don't ever really go well. So just take care of you and be the best you can be and share your light with someone else. Because, man, we need you, and we need good humans in this world, so we got to outnumber all the assholes, okay? So if you're a good person out there hurting, I need you to stay in the fight, because we gotta outnumber them, okay? But, Chris, I just want to tell you thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do for our veteran community, and for the thing that leaders do the most is they pull the full potential out of somebody. And looking at your resume and what you've done, man, I mean, the accolades, I'm going to put them in the show notes. Such a humble dude. He didn't even cite them. But, like, you are definitely doing some big things in this world, and it's making a difference. So I just want to tell you thank you for sharing your valuable time with us today on the show, brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure to talk with you, and hopefully I can add something to your listenership.
For sure. And you can come back anytime you want to, boss. I'd love to dig in more with you. I tell you, I was like, get out of my head, Chris. You were in there, bro. I think we're like brothers, like soul brothers on another level. But to everybody out there listening, keep making good choices. Keep fighting the good fight. Be there for each other. And don't be afraid to ask for help. And don't be afraid to switch it up. Like Chris said, just sometimes we got to do that, y'all. We're going to ride out to the sounds of Monchichi Rex, who also had told me one time when he said cliche, he said it's only cliche because it's true. If it wasn't true, it wouldn't be cliche. So how about that? Let that cook a little bit and marinate on y'all. This has been episode 80 of the Real Resilience Talk podcast with my man Chris right here, the business sergeant. Thank you all. Again, this show is sponsored by Nobody, baby. Just the First Amendment. We defend it. We shall expend it. Much love to y'all. Thank you for your service, Chris, and thank you for your continued service. Y'all make good choices out there, my friends.